Hey everybody, I'm Maggie. We're back on another episode of SRH Access Facebook Live. Today I'm here with our director of the Fracture Clinic, Gerad Montgomery. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're pretty excited because if you can tell, we're not in a hospital. We're actually outside at our beautiful playground to talk about playground safety because it's getting nice outside and parents are going to start taking their kids to start playing on the playground and they need to know some of the do's and don'ts maybe they're not sure about. So we wanted to bring our expert in to talk about what those things are. So to kind of kick us off, what are the most common fractures that kind of happen when people come into your clinic and are from the playground?
Yeah, we see lots of injuries, obviously, in our fracture clinic. Each year in the United States, the CDC, they suggest that there's about 200,000 playground-related injuries each year.
Wow.
Majority of these, range from cuts and bruises to broken bones and even brain injuries or head injuries. In regards to fractures, the majority of what we see really result from a fall. Usually that's kind of our 5 to 9-year-old age group. Normally the monkey bars are really probably our most common culprit for that. The climbing walls, some of the jungle gyms that are still around. Really anything that you climb into a height, that age group tends to fall a little more often than some of the others, and that's one of our more common injuries. We also see a lot of toddlers fractures, and that's an injury that will occur most of the time at the playground or in the playground setting. It's really an injury that occurs when a child is going down the slide with the parent. And so they get down the slide or halfway down the slide, and the child's leg kind of slides underneath the parent's leg or their body, and that leg gets twisted, and it results in a little toddler's fracture or a spiral fracture of the tibia. It's a really common injury and something we see quite a bit of in the clinic. And a lot of these injuries are really avoidable with just some good common sense and some general guidelines in regards to play at the playground.
Awesome. Just so you guys know, since we are outside, it's kind of windy, so if you have any problems hearing us, it's the wind, and we also have some airplanes going on. So just so
But it feels great.
Yes, it's beautiful out. So, obviously, as you're a parent, and you think about these things and these parents out there, going down the slide with your kid is fun. It's a cute photo op. People want to, it's just kind of what you do, kind of like a rite of passage kind of thing. So, are kids allowed to sit on their parents' laps and go down? Or what is it, what's the positioning that's the problem when this is happening?
Well, it's just not a great position. That's the problem. That
Right.
Most of these slides are built for kids, and this equipment's built for certain age groups, tend to be better off playing in certain areas of the playground. They really weren't built for adults. And so if your child's not old enough to go down the slide alone, or with you kind of guiding them by the side of the slide, maybe a better option than going down the slide with them. It's a really hard injury to prevent, and one that we really just don't expect. It's a pretty benign behavior. It's not something that's going to result in a big injury most of the time, but when it does, you feel really guilty. And so you get a lot of those families when those injuries occur that whoever the parent was going down the slide, mom, dad, whoever it was, they feel terrible.
Yeah.
And something
for sure.
that's definitely avoidable.
You were talking about climbing. So obviously, young kids, they're interested, they're intrigued, they want to get in high places. So what can parents know? Is it something that they can educate their kids on? They're young, obviously. You said like 5 to 9. So they're going to want to be adventurous and get up in high places. So what maybe can you provide parents, or what should they be teaching their kids about when they're doing that? And being careful before they're falling and stuff like that.
Well, I think some of the things to look out for, first and foremost, I think it's important for parents to recognize that there needs to be adult supervision and watching these kids closely. Majority of the fractures that occur each year occur on a public playground, and so school often is one of the more common places, or some of our big public playgrounds, where there tends to be a lot of kids playing at one time. And so if you show up to the park and it's a congested park and there's lots and lots of kids playing, you need to educate your children on, hey, one at a time, take your time, don't push, don't shove, kind of playground etiquette, I guess, if there's such a thing, which, teaching the kids to wait their turn and trying to avoid those congested areas. Climbing up on things is obviously something adventurous these kids want to do, but you really need to have these kids in playground areas that really aren't above 6 foot, especially for our younger kids in that 5 to 9 age group. One of the other things to look out for is kind of the soft bottoms. What are they going to land on? So looking for kind of the rubber surfaces like we have out here at our playground, the rubber mulch, sand is a good option. So, anything that's really a soft, you don't want a hard bottom or a hard landing surface. That'll really help make a difference when they do fall, because as we know, our kids are going to fall. It happens. It's part of being a kid. It's part of learning and playing.
Right. So right now, I mean, are you seeing a lot of fractures from playgrounds happening at the moment? Just because, I mean, it is getting so nice out and people are definitely taking family time outside.
Yeah, well, we live in Texas, so playgrounds really don't close down, and
Right.
just about any part of the year, unless it's raining, you can get kids out playing on the playground, and which is a great thing. So yeah, we tend to see these playground injuries year round. There does seem to be a little surge about this time of year when it's starting to warm up, and more families are taking kids to the playground on the weekends and things like that. But in general, we stay pretty steady. I would say, any given day in clinic, we're seeing 7 to 10 different new fractures from kids on the playground. So it's definitely a great, fun thing for kids to learn and kind of grow. They get to test balance, coordination, and play, socialization. All those things are great for the kids, but there's some risks involved, and so if we as parents can look out for them and kind of guide them, it certainly will help cut back on some of those injuries.
You're talking about the monkey bars, so I don't know if we have any at our playground right now, but what are some of the common fractures or injuries that are coming from monkey bars?
The falls normally will result in kind of, we call it a fall on an outstretched hand is one of the more common ones. So when the child falls and they try to catch themselves, just a natural reaction, you end up with a fracture through the forearm or the wrist, the elbow. Some of our more severe injuries come from monkey bars, and particularly in the elbow region. We call those supracondylar fractures, and lots of those coming through the clinic. The head injuries, we typically, we don't see those in our clinic per se, but lots of head injuries occurring each year, and that oftentimes is a result of kids wanting to, take monkey bars and hang by our feet instead of our hands, and then we fall, and the first thing that hits naturally is our head, and it's pretty dangerous behavior and really something we want to avoid at the playgrounds.
Definitely. So the fracture clinic, maybe you can kind of get into the specifics of the fracture clinic, when it's open, how you guys take patients, and maybe what parents should know that if their kid is injured on a playground, or even if maybe teachers are watching and their one of their students gets hurt on the playground, what do they need to know about coming to our fracture clinic in Plano?
Gotcha. Yeah, our fracture clinics, we really we think we've done a great job developing a program that we can get families into. We wanted to really provide direct access for these families, and so we have hours in the morning, which is a little bit unique in our clinic, is Monday through Friday. We typically start at 7:30. We run till about 4:30, 5. I think we take our last appointment around 4. What's unique about our clinic is that from 7:30 to 9:30 we have walk-in hours, and what that means is that if a child has a musculoskeletal injury or they have trauma that results in a suspected fracture or a confirmed fracture, so Johnny falls off of the monkey bars, has an arm injury, there's some swelling in the arm, the parents just aren't sure, they really want to have him checked out, but they don't feel like he needs to go to the emergency room. They can show up that next day at our clinic, like I said, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 9:30, just walk in, show up, we'll evaluate and we'll kind of see what's going on, see if there's a fracture, take care of what issue we do find. If they're seen in an emergency room or seen somewhere else and they have a confirmed fracture, those are absolutely something that's appropriate to come in during our walk-in hours from that 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. slot. We ask the families to bring their x-rays. If they had x-rays taken in an outside facility, that will kind of help us expedite things and get this child taken care of, as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Definitely. So can imaging be done at the Plano
Absolutely.
campus?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have imaging capability, and we're happy to take x-rays from other places, and if we need to, we can repeat images or get new images when you show up.
And I mean, our new Frisco campus, which is opening in the fall, will obviously have the fracture clinic as well. So we'll have all these same services.
We will. We'll have a little bit more. We'll have some other imaging options as well available there. We're really excited about that move. We're going to have almost twice the amount of space we currently have, so that will help us. And we've grown tremendously in our volume, and so that's really going to help us manage that volume.
Definitely. So to kind of close things out, we kind of want to do this do and don'ts when it comes to playground safety. We kind of talked about specifically with the slide and not going down with the parent. It's not fit for them. So maybe what are kind of the top do's and don'ts that parents and kids maybe should know about for playgrounds?
Well, like we said, going on the slide with the parent. Not wearing loose clothing, hoodies, drawstrings, things like that. Surprisingly, there's several deaths each year in the United States from kids that get strangulation injuries, things like that, where playground equipment, something gets hung up or caught in that. And so those are obviously very tragic and certainly avoidable. So pay attention to what the child's wearing. Good shoes, the clothes that's not baggy, not loose, no hoodies, drawstrings, things like that on there. Again, paying attention to the mulch or the surface, the rubber surface, whatever the surface is that's at the playground. It needs to be soft. They need to have something they can land on that gives a little bit. And then supervision, obviously, I think is probably the most important one and probably the biggest one. It's tempting to go to the park and grab your cup of coffee and a book and read and let the children run around and play, and which is good, but they still need some guidance and close observation. You know, talking to the kids before, like we talked about with crowding and playground etiquette. I think that's really important, especially in our school-age children. They can kind of comprehend and be educated on some of that stuff and take some of those lessons to life with playing on the playground. And then our younger kid, like our toddler age group, really any age group, you know, we really have playground equipment that's set up for certain children at certain age groups, and so paying attention to that, knowing which area of that playground is safe for your toddler versus your school-age child or your older children to play on, and they really shouldn't be playing in the same area. For the most part, we really want to keep them separate because that will cut down on some of those injuries that occur from the 3-year-old trying to get up a slide or go down the slide, and the 9-year-old coming down the slide, not really paying attention, or
big brother, little brother.
Exactly,
kind of
exactly.
Yeah.
And then it also becomes a little bit of monkey see, monkey do, where if you see the 9-year-old going across the drawbridge or something that's a little bit more advanced, and you're 4, and you kind of think, maybe I can try that. Next thing you know, you're running across there, and that sometimes can result
and then they're in your clinic.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and the big thing is, like, playgrounds are meant to be fun. Obviously, this is not to say do not play on playgrounds, but it's just to be aware and have education for parents.
Exactly right.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming out on this beautiful day and chatting with us about playground safety.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully, you know, you guys don't need our services, but if you do, we're there. Whether it's the field or the court or the playground, we're there to take care of your kids.
Awesome.
So
Good to
come see us
know.
if you need us.
Definitely. Well, we'll be back next week. See you then.